Hello, everybody. This is the Rumour Mill. Let's get into it. This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, The Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, The Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, The Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Conor McGilligan. This is One Leeds, and of course, this is the Rumour Mill. What is going on in your world? Let me know in the comment section below. Great to see all the regulars in the building and new people, new accounts. Always good to see new folk figuring out here what's going on One Leeds. If you'd like some bonus content from myself, you can find that over on the Patreon, which you can pay a £5 a month, and you can join our illustrious group of patrons over there. And we've got a fantastic WhatsApp group, and content will be coming very shortly. And of course, we have another general channel, of which I'm sure you guys will go over and enjoy as well. We have bits to talk about today, including Igor Paixao, Anton Stach, Perri, and we have other bits and bats as well. Everybody get your thoughts in the section below. If you've come over here for the confirmation mill, the consolidation mill, you might be disappointed. We are here to discuss, debate, and of course, discourse when it comes to rumours, transfers, and all that sort of good stuff. So morning all, morning everybody. What is going on? Hello, hello, hello. Morning, Connor. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for Paixão. Can't get deal done, and he comes to the mighty Leeds. I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. Rio says Bakwa. If not Paixão, Connor, yeah, I don't know. We'll get into it, mate. We'll get into it. There's going to have to be alternatives. We all know that. Morning, guys. Morning, everybody. Morning, Haz. Morning, Wayne. Hi, Hackon. How's it going, mate? SSJW. Morning, Angus. Morning, guys. Morning, James. Morning, Knox. Morning, everybody. Morning, Lewis, etc., etc. I apologize if I've not said morning. Morning, Denise. Kirsch. Outspoken Aussie. What's going on, everybody? Hello. Danielito says, done deal appears to be confirmation. You could be right, mate. You could be right, but it's all based on reports, mate. We just go on reports here, and it's probably a better place to start, the best place to start when it comes to what Daniel said there. Let's talk about Anton Stach. Now, Florian Plettenberg, as of this weekend, has spoken about the German international, who, look, it will be an outrageous signing for Leeds United, one of which I wasn't sure we could ever get done. A midfielder of that caliber being a newly promoted side, I didn't think that would be the case. I thought we'd have to go a little bit more bargain basement signing. Hasn't happened. I think the sort of incoming of Anton Stach will be a shockwave to the Premier League, and especially the bottom half of the Premier League. I think when you look at the Bundesliga stats last season, he was in the top 5. When you look at his overall defensive midfield, number 6 sort of tendencies, he's an outrageous footballer. All of his stats are extremely good. When you look at FB Ref, you want to have a look at Y Scout as well. If you're a paying customer, you can have a look at his highlights and his breakdown. He looks phenomenal. Yeah, I'm very, very excited by this one. And what I'd say as well is don't let the Paixão stuff take away from this Anton Stach stuff. Me and Gabe were talking last night. If you didn't catch the show, make sure you go watch it, guys. I think we're on 16,000 views on that last night, and what a show it was. So make sure you check that out. But when it comes to Anton Stach, I feel like because Leeds are moving on to other targets and we're moving on to other players, and especially Paixão, Leeds fans are maybe looking beyond how good of a signing this Anton Stach deal and addition is. You know, as I said, Florian Plettenberg this weekend has said that Stach is considered a done deal by both clubs. So there you go. Florian Plettenberg, a tier one, top tier source, especially from the German side as well. We heard the sporting director at Hoffenheim as well basically said that, yeah, it's been cleared and everything's done and dusted as well over the weekend. So this is all good news. This is all really positive news for Leeds United. The central midfield is a very important position. If anything, you know, out left, we do have options. You know, I think the fact that Jack Harrison's come back into the fold is slightly annoying, and he's been given this chance of redemption for whatever reason. But the positive is we have Ramazani out there. If you want Nonto out there, you can have him out there as well. He can play on the left-hand side. But in that central midfield, we haven't got a profile like Anton Stach. Longstaff's completely different. Please never get confused by Longstaff's height and just think to yourself, oh, he must be a similar player to Anton Stach. No, Longstaff is not a number 6. Stach is an out-and-out 6. For me, he's a direct Gruev replacement, and it's a huge elevation on Alai Gruev as well. So it'll be interesting to see his future. So all positive when it comes to that. Really happy with Stach coming through the door. I would probably suggest that there's going to be a medical today, maybe an announcement later on today, so keep those notifications switched on, everybody. We will come back on if there is an announcement, but we know with this football club it's never instantaneous when it comes to, you know, the finalization, the detail, you know, the inner working. It normally takes quite a while, doesn't it? And that is just Leeds United in an absolute nutshell. So Conwen is Villarreal. That is on the 2nd of August, mate. That is on the 2nd of August. Guys, we have around about 1,000 of you watching this morning. Slap a like on the video. Really appreciate that, everybody. Thank you so much. So, yeah, good news there when it comes to Anton Stach. Positive news, and something that I think we should all be getting a little bit excited about. It means we can do so much in that midfield. We've spoken about it before. Let's have a look at a couple of your comments in the section below. Graham said he's having a medical today or this week. Yeah, I think Leeds Live have also commented this morning about 47 minutes ago saying the transfer dealing is in the final knocking, I quote. So there you go. MJ Gaming says, good morning, Connor. Met a fellow Leeds fan while doing 24 hours of chess last weekend. Oh, it's great, MJ. Yeah, fantastic. Morning, Connor. Hey, mate. Morning, mate. Hopeful of a positive week once again this week. Be happy when a GK and striker arrives. Morning, Liam. Stach is such an amazing sign. Hi, Gordon. Proper midfielder. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think it's a really top signing. Happy with it. Two different profiles in Longstaff and Stach. And I said last week, look, if you're bringing a marquee signing, which Stach is, in the next 7 days, I think I said that on Thursday, the next 7 days, you're bringing a marquee signing, Stach, and then you're bringing Longstaff. And if we're able to add, we've still got a lot to do. Still got a lot to do. If we dial down what we have to do, we have to bring in a left winger. You have to bring in fullback cover. You have to bring in, obviously, central midfielder and Stach isn't done quite yet, but we're just going to alleviate that now, move on from that. You know, you got, obviously, goalkeeper, striker, you know, fullback cover. There's a lot to do still. There's a lot to do. And a striker in particular is a lot. It is a heck of a lot. Adam says apparently started his medical yesterday and finished it off today, and paper finalized. Yeah, so Graham said medical is ongoing this morning. Formula Sonny says Stach is a marquee signing just because it's not 30 million. I think that's a really important comment, Sonny. I think that really is, mate. If this would have cost 30 to 35 million, there'd have been some Leeds fans moaning about it, as always. But alongside that, it's just a really good bit of business, and it really follows what the 49ers have always done at Leeds United. And, you know, what I will say is about Parag is he gets mocked a bit. I don't really know why, but he gets mocked a hell of a lot for this, like he does negotiations in his sleep. But you actually look at some of the big deals Leeds have done. You know, you even just look at recently at Jacobiol for what, 15 million quid, when he was being touted at 30 million quid at the start of the window. Udinese apparently were pushing that. You then look at Tanaka last season, 3 million quid. You look at Ethan Ampadu when we were relegated, all in all, 7 million quid. You know, you look at Stach, 17 million quid. So all of these big prices that we always get quoted, Leeds United are able to negotiate. There was commentary very, very early on last week that Hoffenheim, because of the clubs that have been interested in Stach, Man United very recently, according to the Manchester Evening News as well, Tottenham, Bayer Leverkusen, Munich, around about a year ago, they were always going to push for 20, 25 million plus. He's 26 years of age. He's not past it. He's not worth anything less than that. So the fact that Leeds have got this negotiation done, and the fact that we've got the negotiations done that we have done over the past 12 months, 12 to 18 months, I think is a real plus point on the 49ers. And it's maybe looking to what Leeds have done previously in terms of big money that we've spent, huge money, and putting players on massive contracts, of which we're still suffering for today. Let's be brutally honest with each other. Sorry. They've learned from that, and they were in those processes. We've got to bear that in mind. The 49ers were there, but being a minority and as opposed to a majority is two very different things when it comes to negotiation. One has a final say and one has major input. The other doesn't. So the fact that they've got the major input now, Leeds look to have spent a decent amount of money. But I mentioned this the other day when it comes to Leeds. Sorry, everyone. But when it comes to Leeds, Sunderland's midfield might turn out better than ours. It might do. But Siddiqui and Diarra for like 45, 50 million quid. And then you kind of look at Longstaff and Stack in particular, negotiation wise, for just under 30 million quid. I think it's really good negotiation. I really do. And as as Sam says, 6 players in for 65 million. Mate, I read this morning that all in, it's been 61 million quid so far. So I think that's real positive when it comes to it. And this is why when we're talking about these players, and when we're talking about, I'll just pay up Leeds, pay up. We all know they can't just do that. They can't just pay up. They can't just spend 40 million on 4 signings. They can't do that because of PSR restrictions. We all have to be accountants nowadays. It's a shame, but it is what it is. So we've got to keep that in mind. We've got to bear that in mind and be rational. We've got to be sensible. And it looks like there are a couple of deals that Leeds are willing to go heavy on. But aside from that, if you're able to go out and get real bargains, we brought Tanaka in for 3.4 million quid. 3.4 million pounds. Then you look at the sales as well. You look at Rutter, you look at Somerville, you look at Archie, you look at Kamara. They've done well when it comes to sales in terms of getting a real, big portion of dough in. They've done well. So especially when you look at some of the players that are going nowadays, which you're expecting to go for large, really, really large bids. You even just look at Archie in comparison to like Joe Bellingham, and the fee that we got for Archie was massive, absolutely massive. So they did well on that front, I think. So we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see how this turns out. But I think negotiation has been a real strong point for Leeds so far. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Guys, there's 1,300 of you in the building. Slap the likes on. And as well, guys, we did have the competition, which I wanted to explain to you guys as well. We are going to be doing stuff like this every single month when it comes to Shop GNO. You have to register free and become a GNO member, which was absolutely free. Send an email to hello@shopgno.com saying won Leeds. And basically what happens is we're picking 4 winners out. 4 winners for 4 shirts, right? Absolutely free. All you have to do is register, like the video, subscribe. That's what we're doing throughout this season. But you have to be subscribed. You have to be liking the video because we cross-reference. We cross-reference with our sponsor. So you have to be part of the One Leeds community. You have to be part of the Shop GNO members list as well, guys. And then you get, you're getting these little prizes and it's worth it. You make money, you save money. It's all worth it. What a wonderful world. Tanaka playing against Casemiro and guaranteeing a combined MD duo of over 100 million. I know what player I'd rather. Bogle as well, mate. Bogle. Yeah, look at that. 5 million quid, mate. 5 million quid. So we have to look at this right now and not panic and not say, oh, they're frauds because they don't go out and get, let's say, a Paixão. You've got to look at what they've done. You've got to trust in it as well. This is a board who in the winter months decided clearly at one point, I reckon around sort of, in and around a certain sort of mid-bracket point, they'll try something, but then they think, do you know what, our squad's good enough and we trust in our manager. That's what the 49ers clearly thought. Okay, they did that. They didn't do anything in the winter window where you had like Sheffield United panicking, you Burnley bringing players in, didn't do anything, and we won the league. So we've got to judge them on what they've done, and that's what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, stack on top of that as well will be a really good addition as well, and look very good on their hit list. Stack confirmation today looking likely. I'd say so, mate. Yeah, I'd say so. Morning, Connor. Morning, all. Aronson, 32 million wasn't on the 49ers books. That wasn't them. Obviously, the ownership was previous at that point. But let's get into the next rumor, shall we, everybody? Let's have a go. Okay. Feels like this one's going on and on and on. Igor Paixao. Now, what is the latest? We spoke about this last night with Gabe. So it's a big day. Now, why is it a big day? Now, according to Dutch sources, a tier one Dutch source as well, Mika Skuka, who does really close reports on Feyenoord, feels like he's almost like a local reporter when it comes to those guys. Is very specific when it comes to the club, and he's a Dutch reporter as well. Does things for the national side. Classified as a really good journalist over there. He was discussing yesterday that there has been a deal agreed between Marseille and between Feyenoord, but they are yet to find an agreement on some of the terms within the deal. So the players agreed at personal terms, and apparently the overview of the deal is okay, but there are little bits in that detail that Marseille are not willing to go to and Feyenoord want in the deal. So whether or not that's bonuses after a certain amount of appearances, they maybe get 3 or 4 million quid, which Marseille aren't willing to do. You look at Marseille as well, and they're spending big. They are spending big. And look, they've got the Champions League. De Zerbi's there, isn't he? They're a big club. But Tim Weah, Aubameyang coming in. They're looking at bringing in another centre-back as well. The other day, that I think he's called Balde or something like that. I don't profess to know anything about him. But it looks like they're bringing in 2 or 3 players, 2 of which, when you're looking at Tim Weah, is at a point in his career now where he needs a big contract, and I think he will get that at Marseille, but you've got to take that into consideration. Aubameyang's never going to be on a cheap fee. We all know that. Paixão is probably the biggest move in his career so far, so he's going to be on very decent money. So they're investing a lot here. So you've kind of got to look at it from Marseille's perspective. Let's say if Feyenoord, and we're speculating here, we're hypothesizing in a sense, but if Feyenoord want a certain amount of bonuses within the deal, there is rumors that they want a big sell-on clause as well. And what that means is if Paixão goes to Marseille and then Marseille sell him again, which is likely, probably because he's doing, he will elevate himself above Marseille. Maybe a Leeds United in a couple of years will come in for him. There is a massive sell-on fee. Now, reports over the weekend are suggesting that could be up to 30%, a 30% sell-on clause that Feyenoord want in the deal. So presumably this is the issue, the sell-on clause. That's me guessing. As of today, 1 hour ago, Mika Skuka, obviously the tier one Dutch journalist, has said Marseille plan to sit down today with large delegation to discuss the Brazilians' arrival. So lots to consider today. It feels like it's a big, big day, a big, big day in this deal. If this breaks down, and apparently, according to reports over the weekend, again, Marseille have other targets on that left wing. They have some other targets. One to bear in mind is someone like Armand Loriente, who we've spoken about before, who will be a much cheaper fee. Similar age, I believe, Loriente to Paixão. And we'll get onto him in just a little bit. But they've got other targets, and it would make a lot of sense. Obviously, Loriente has played in France before. That could be a target. That could be a very, very likely target. So wait and see on that one. But it feels like today's a big day. Apparently, there is a deadline from Marseille that today is the final day of conversation. That's why they're getting a delegation together. They're meeting with representatives of Paixão and Feyenoord, and they're trying to get a deal done. So the likelihood is, for me, Paixão becomes a Marseille player. He becomes a Marseille player, and that is going to be so sad, because how I describe this guy is, I think he's literally the cardboard cut out of someone like Brian Mbeumo. I think when you look at some of the tendencies, he replicates some of the best players in the world. I look at Cody Gakpo. I look at Kylian Mbappe, some of the traits he displays when he's coming in off that left-hand side, his dribbling, his pace on the ball, his shot efficiency, his early shot efficiency as well. How he attacks the box is very similar. He's got similar traits. And I think Paixão, out of anybody, would be. I saw someone say he's sinister. Feyenoord fans are saying that he's Sinisterra was better than him. No chance. No chance. Sinisterra didn't have that turn of pace. Sinisterra didn't have that early shot efficiency. Sinisterra, in my opinion, didn't attack the box as well and as aggressively and as explosively as Paixão did. I did like Sinisterra, but he's not in the same league as Paixão at the minute. So it would be an unbelievable signing for Leeds United, a ridiculous signing for Leeds United. And you never know, he could go on to not the same level as Rafa, but similar standings in terms of being one of the best left wingers in the world. He has that capability. So yeah, this would be killer. It would be killer. But there are other left wingers out there. I keep saying this. There are other left wingers out there that are not on his level. You know, my pick at the start of the window was Armand Loriente at Sassuolo, who is just the deal has broken down with Sunderland. He was my yes, let's go for him. I mentioned Christoph Zolis at Club Bruges before as well. Has been almost like the replica of Manor Solomon. This guy is an elite pick, though. He's an elite pick. And this is why, like I mentioned, Anton Stach earlier on in the window, because I wasn't mentioning midfielders in the same bracket as Anton Stach, but we got Anton Stach. Or we looked to have got Anton Stach. You know, we're looking at Jacobiol at the start of the window, and we're thinking to ourselves, well, we might have to go like a level lower than Jacobiol. We haven't. We've got Jacobiol. So if we can somehow get this one done, it would be an unbelievable deal for the Whites. So I don't know. Watch this space, everybody. Watch this space when it comes to it. Let's hope we can get that one done. And if we do get that one done, my God, it's a needle mover. That is, and we mentioned this as well on the hard line. And I just want to, I'm going to marinate a little bit. But if you get Lucas Perri through the door, Jacobiol keeps, we're going to get on Struijk in a second, but keep Struijk. Don't think it's going to happen, but keep Struijk. Get reasonable right and left back cover in. You know, someone who's versatile across. Think of a Kyle Walker-Peters type. Bringing in Anton Stach, Paixão, or very near equivalent. Very near equivalent, but I don't think there's much in world football now, especially for the availability. You've got to think about the availability now of a player like Paixão. How many are out there and are ready for 30 million quid of his level? I don't think there's many. Rodrigo Muniz. And you're able to keep hold of some of the parts. Like, I really want us to keep hold of Willie Gnonto. Like, you just even, like, and you guys know I'm always hot on him. I love Willie Gnonto. I think he gives us such variance on that right-hand side. But I'd actually go with Dan James more often than not because it's a counter-attacking style. It's a counter-attacking style that we need. But the build-up between Gnonto and Bogle, the sequences, the partnerships, the combinations in that first half, the reading of each other's game, it was, and interestingly enough as well, a lot of it, the pace and the runs were coming from Bogle, not from Gnonto. Gnonto was the playmaker in a lot of Bogle's plays, the facilitator. But if you're able to dot this team in and around, genuinely, if you're able to do that with all this quality and they're able to stay fit, dependability, reliability, obviously big attributes in football. I think Leeds could finish higher than 17th. I genuinely do because we have built a squad for the Premier League in the Championship, and it's been 2 years in the making. If you're able to build with more of this top talent that we bring in, we've got a variance of profiles. I think we've got the best team, and the Championship would is evidence of this. But I think we've got the best team from the Championship to the Premier League, and we're the most adaptable. I would say in the last 2 years, this Leeds United side is the most complete football team to come up from the Championship in terms of personnel. So that's at our disposal as well. And then you add in, with just quality like we are doing. And if we're able to get certain deals underlined, really enforce that depth, but depth with quality as well. I think we could aim for a higher position, but maybe fall, but aim for a higher position. Who knows? Let's have a look at what you guys are saying. Abdul Rahman. Hi, Abdul Rahman. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for the donation, mate. Really appreciate it. Always see you in here, buddy. Hello, Connor. We are now definitely ready on defensive in midfield and at centre half. Yep, centre half. My question is why we are looking at another centre half from Fenerbahce. If so, it looks like we are selling Pascal. Happy so far. March on together. Thank you so much, Abdul Rahman. I'm going to get onto that in a bit, mate. I probably should have read your comment out as I was going through the stuff today. But thanks so much, buddy. Yes, we will get on to Struijk. We are going to get onto the development when it comes to that, mate. So yes, don't worry. Don't worry. We'll get onto that, buddy. Thank you so much. Connor go lives. Massive update. Paixão to Leeds. Unbelievable. Imagine. I get very excited. And there's a lot of profiles as well. We've spoken about Evan Gassan before. We've spoken about Loriente before. We spoke about Christoph Zolis. We spoke about multiple players of which fit, Spoke about Tim Weah, for goodness sake, on that right-hand side potentially. But you look at the composition of the squad, and I think to take Leeds to that next level, you've got to think about next level, proper needle movers. I don't know if it would be Loriente. I think Loriente would come in, and as you guys know, I'm a big fan of him. But I think Loriente comes in and is a level down in terms of quality. It just is. To someone like Paixão, it just is a level. And I think the big thing with Paixão is how you've got to look at it is how aggressively Leeds and Marseille are still going for him, and how Feyenoord are still aggressively trying to put certain clauses in his contract, which might break a deal down. Who knows? But how aggressive all three clubs are being, and he's injured. He's injured. Not available. Probably won't be available for the first 4 to 5 weeks. So this is how good a player he is, and how much we want him right now, and how much it's it's going to be a huge discussion when it comes, and hopefully we find a resolution today, even if it is us losing out. Connor, I think the Paixão transfer has moved on, and Marseille will agree fee. We should try bringing someone like Ryan Cherky from Leon. Ryan Cherky, mate, has just gone to Manchester City, so I don't think we'll be bringing him in somehow. Connor, you keep saying we're going to get fullback cover. I think we already have it in Burnout. He can play fullback. I don't think we get another. Yeah, maybe, Denise. What I would say is with Bornau is I think Bornau works really well in a three. So you think about the three centre backs, and I think Bornau plays on a side of a centre back, an out and out middle through centre back. So he plays on the right 100%. I think in the Premier League, I would not be comfortable. And I think you can even see it at the weekend. And just from the research you do on Bornau, pace isn't something that is part of his wheelhouse. I think you could even see that at the weekend at points. There'd be points where maybe he played the ball slightly behind Bogle in that second half, and he tried retrieve it, but his stride pattern is long, but he feels a little bit slow. He's not that agile. He's a big boy. He's not that agile. So, yeah, for me as a fullback, if Leeds as well, like we saw at the weekend, you got to think, Denise, if Leeds are utilizing overlapping fullbacks, which it feels like we were still doing at the weekend, especially in the combination factor in the first half between Bogle and Nonto, if we're utilizing that, Bornau is not going to be a right. You can't have a 6'4" player, in my opinion, bombing up and down that right hand side when he's not got pace. I don't think that's realistic, to be honest with you. Now the conversation would be what is happening to Schmidt. Someone who's technically good on the football, someone who's got lovely balance, someone who could work as cover. You feel, but it feels like he's going to be going out at some point. Morning, Connor, looking fresher than post Oasis. Oh, mate, I don't feel like it. Only just joined, but we'll catch up. Anyway, you see a positive in keeping Harrison, a left wing back for certain games. I don't, Mark. No, I apologize, mate. I apologize. I know some of you might say, Connor, you're being negative. I'm not. I'm very positive about this window, but I'm steadfast on certain players. And I'm pretty ruthless when it comes to it. I'm not here for sentiment FC and to bring in the boys. Keep Harrison in. He's a good lad. Nah. No, thank you. No, hopefully we can just get rid of Jack, and we will move on. Hopefully, anyway. We could qualify for Europe. Kirsch has just seen it's Bielsa's birthday. Would love to see him again in person. Head on over there, mate. You better see him. Hi, Matt. Hope you're doing really well. Are we really potentially signing Struijk? Not sure how I feel about that. Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit, mate. Okay, Lucas Perri. Right, what have we got on him today? So he's injured at Lyon, didn't feature for them in a friendly game over the weekend. French publication is suggesting that it could be a 2 to 3 week injury. Now, the last report we had from Lucas Perri at all when it comes to any transfer was Sky Sports suggesting that Leeds are highly interested in the goalkeepers. That was the last report we have. Now, the only reason I've got Leeds as the interested clubs was Fenerbahce. There was the other club from Turkey as well. But that's gone extremely quiet. Very, very quiet. And maybe after apparently Fenerbahce put the inquiry in, Lyon got the AOK that they're staying in Ligue 1. Obviously, for financial reasons, they were relegated and then they appealed and stayed in Ligue 1, which was a crazy scenario in itself. Maybe there was an inquiry there, didn't quite get to a point of which it was reasonable negotiation. Fenerbahce pulled out, or maybe they just couldn't afford it. Same with the other club in Turkey. So it feels like right now, when it comes to Lucas Perri, there is only one club that appears to be interested. Now, another club that I would throw into the mix when it comes to Perri, because he's very similar to Marcin Bulka. He's very similar to Georgia Petrovic. So another club I will throw into the mix, who is also looking for a goalkeeper, is Sunderland. So this is going to be an interesting one. Again, Lebris will out and out, I'm sure, be a big fan of the goalkeeper as well, after working with Lorient in the French league for as many years as he did. So I'm sure he's very aware of the Brazilian as well. So we have to watch this space when it comes to Lucas Perri. But according to reports and obviously what we heard before, Leeds are actively working on a goalkeeper right now. According to the Athletic, the YEP, Leeds are working on a goalkeeper right now, which is good to hear because there's been way too much silence when it comes to a goalkeeper, way too much focus on a left winger. Central midfield, defenders. I need a goalkeeper. I need a goalkeeper in this team, a good goalkeeper as well. So, Sorrel Perri got injured, did indeed. Alistair, hi Alistair. Morning, Connor. Hoping to start seeing some outgoings this week. Annoying. It looks like Harrison is staying for a bit. Indeed. Luigi, hi Luigi. Morning, Connor. What do you think will be our formation starting lineup come to the first game of the season? I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, mate. We were speaking about this last night on the hard line. Farke last season did fluctuate in preseason between a 3-4-3 and a 4-2-3-1 as well. I don't think this is going to be anything different. I think he's just trying a few bits out. But I don't think look, I've mentioned before with Thomas Frank at Brentford, he went to a 3-5-2 in games that he didn't think Brentford would win, and he went to a 4-3-3 in games where he thought that Brentford could win the game. So managers can do it at the top level with lesser teams. So it is up to Daniel Farke. The personnel rotation is going to be really interesting, especially in that midfield. I don't want to rotate centre backs too often. Don't want to rotate the keeper at all, and fullbacks, because I think a back line, the consistency in a back line is really strong. And I think partnerships in the back line are huge as well because it is the last line of defense. So you all need to be on the same sort of telepathic wavelength, if you will. So I don't like changing it in there. But the midfield, I think, because a lot of it is about finding space and a lot of it is about picking apart the opposition, I think you can change that for certain games. I think the midfield is the midfield is where it's one loss. It's the brain of the operation, the engine room. So I think you can change that for certain opposition. But I think what we're bringing in now in Anton Stach is a 6'4" German Declan Rice replica. So you've got to add that to the mix as well, the pot. Saturn says, Connor, what do you think our next signing after Stack will be? Should we just go out there? Should we be outlandish? Paixão, why not? Okay, interesting. Now the Sun. The Sun are reporting this morning that apparently Leeds United are trying to get a bidding war for Mateo Joseph, as you would do for any club, by the way. Obviously, you want bidding wars, especially for some of your prized assets, especially young assets as well. Leeds are trying to start a bidding war for Mateo Joseph, and there is another club that has entered the room, and that is Celta Vigo. Now, apparently, they're highly interested in Mateo Joseph, and it's been Leeds and Betis and Leeds and Betis and Leeds and Betis. But according to the Sun this morning, not only are Celta Vigo interested, but Leeds United's aim for Mateo Joseph and the sale for Mateo Joseph, which indicates to me that it's not a loan, but the sale for Mateo Joseph is so that they can field offers, big offers for Rodrigo Muniz. Now, Rodrigo Muniz also scored at the weekend, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he scored for Fulham. And then he said, I'm back, can't wait to start scoring goals. And then it's just Leeds fans in droves in the comment section. There was nothing on Fulham. Nothing on Fulham. We'll try to see if we can find it. His social post. And it's very cryptic, isn't it? But it is what it is. Let's have a look at his Instagram. I think it was his Instagram. And he was buzzing to be back, scoring goals, all that sort of stuff. But it was interesting. Let's have a look. I think it was on his story, actually. So it might be lost. It might be lost. I think yeah, it's annoying. So it's lost anyway. But yeah, he was effectively saying that glad to be back, glad to be scoring goals, etc., etc. And there's just Leeds fans in the comment section. But it would make sense, to be fair. The report from the Sun is always going to, you look at the Sun and you think, bleh, every single time. However, what I will say is it does make a little bit of sense when it comes to Mateo. Look, if they want to get a fee for him and they want to go down that route, I'd rather loan. I'd rather loan and the club to have an option, not an obligation to buy. That's what I would rather. But what if you are going to sell him? You've seen what Feyenoord are going to do with Paixão. If you're trying to sell Mateo Joseph, I want a big sell-on clause. I want a massive sell-on clause on that. Not only that, but I'd like these to be like first buyback. I'd like Leeds to be first option when it comes to buyback, and we're waiting and for a decent fee. So I think Leeds have got to be, if Parag is the shrewd negotiator that we all think he is, if you are a shrewd negotiator, you've got to put some massive sanctions on this Joseph sale. If you do get 10+ million for him, I want 30% sell-on clause. I want big sell-on clause on him. And then, like I've said, I want a buyback. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Obviously, it'd be great for PSR because he's effectively pure profit. Not only that, but it could add to the coffers when it comes to PSR, stretch, and Leeds going out and buying a player, which I think hopefully we'll see Leeds in good stead. Excuse me. Anton Stacked. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Connor, any truth in the Chilwell rumour resurfacing? Nah, mate. I think he's on about 240 grand a week and he's always injured. So, no, mate. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. Wrexham have 10 million to spend on a striker. Bamford would be perfect for them. Yeah, I think we said that in the earlier on the window, didn't we? It was either them or Wrexham. Are we confident Fulham want to sell Rodrigo Muniz? Seems strange that they want to see him go. I think they've got replacements, Kirsch. I think that's the thing. I think there's targets of which they'd go in for. We mentioned Perri, we've mentioned Romelu as well. Romelu, a very, very similar target, player profile, I should say, to that of Rodrigo Muniz. I think Fulham will have things in place. All the top clubs in terms of how well they run, which Fulham are a very well-run club. It's a lot of money as well. It's a lot of money. You got to think that if Leeds go to 40 million, it's hard to turn down that, especially when you'd argue that he's not the starting striker. Well, he's probably not, is he? The starting striker. So I have to wait and see on that one. Clinicality in the attacking end. Goals is our issue. We need a big statement in the striker. I agree with that. I agree. And look, I think the interesting thing as well about the weekend's game was Leeds United's, I thought, maybe still kind of championshipy decision making in the final third. I thought there was points of which we were in a really good spot. There was a point in the second half where Ramazani literally just had to square it to Dan James. I think Dan James had to put it in the back of the net. Ramazani had a shot. In the first half, Jack Harrison, old hot and cold, had the ball out of his feet and ballooned the ball over, Nemecha twice. And, you had Bogle, who did exceptionally well with the 1-2 with Willie Gnonto, but he had a bit of a dodgy touch, and that enabled Casemiro to get back, slide in, and actually deflect the cross in, albeit it nearly went in. But that meant that the ball evaded Lucas Nemetra, who was there to tap it in. So it's one of those really where it's kind of that sort of championshipy class in front of goal, of which that needs to be elevated. It needs to be elevated. And in those positions in the final third, when you've got some killers, Leeds are probably scoring 2 in that Man United game, but it is just maybe that lack of clinicality, as was said just then, when it comes to David. So Leeds have got to be really careful when it comes to that and just relying on that when it comes to players like Jack Harrison. But there needs to be a real evolution when it comes to our efficiency and ruthlessness in that final third. If there's not, then goals are the most important in the Premier League. Goals are so important in the Premier League. So if you're able to score a certain amount, there's a likelihood you'll stay up. So we'll look. Harrison's on 90k a week. I don't think he is. Let's have a look at what Graham's saying. Some people are saying he's mentioned something there. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they're out in Germany now as well, aren't they, the lads? Let's have a quick look. Graham. Apparently Graham's put a tweet out. Competitive. Okay, so they're just having a bit of fun. Graham said as well, Anton Stach's move from Hoffenheim to Leeds United is now in the final stages. Brendan Harrison due to join the squad tomorrow. Mateo Joseph not here yet. I wonder why that is. Guys, there's 1,700 of you in the building as well. Make sure you slap in a like on the video. Yeah, thank you so much. And checking out our sponsors as well, of course. Right, it's interesting, really interesting. And I need your thoughts on this. I'm going to let it marinate as well. Bogle got made, did he? Therefore, 90 grand a week. It was Bobble said that. Has Bobble said that? El Bobble. No way. El Bobble's not said that, Harrison, about him being on 90 grand a week. El Bobble. I've just put El Boggle in. If you guys don't know, El Bobble is a very, very good source for Everton news. I've not seen that. 90 grand a week. There's no way Harrison's on that money. No way. Not seen anything from El Bobble there. So, yeah. Let's talk about Diego Carlos. So this has got a few ramifications here, everybody. So let me talk you through it. Leeds United have to sell some players at some point. there's going to have to be a big hitter going, in my opinion, unless there is some workings around the PSR with Leeds United. If we're looking at spending 150 million with which if we're talking about Paixão, if we're talking about Rodrigo Muniz, if we're talking about Anton Stach, if we're talking about fullback cover, if we're talking about a goalkeeper at 20 million quid, if we're talking about all these things, then we are looking at spending post 100 and obviously a lot more than that. And Parag's big thing has been we'll wait and see how it stretches until how much we will pay as much as we can do by getting to that limit, that PSR limit. So that makes a lot of sense as well. Leeds are going to have to, in my opinion, have a bit of a sale, and this is where it's becoming interesting now because I look at the sales. I look at Greenwood, Joffy, I look at Mateo Joseph, I look at Elia Gruev, I look at Jack Harrison, I look at Pat Bamford, I look at Isaac Schmidt. I look at a few others in there. So 7 there that I've just reeled off. Okay. Leeds might have to put another big one in there as well because we might not get the required cash that we're looking for with some of these players. Okay. Now, Pascal is at the point in his career now. What is he? 25, 26 years of age. I think when we look at Diego Carlos, and we will, he's at 25 years of age. He's been 85 times in the Premier League for those. Kirsch, I can see you in the building who like the Prem proven experience stuff. 85 appearances, reliable, durable. I think was decent in the Premier League for Leeds, bearing in mind the age he was at, which was what, 21. Developed now. We know with Pascal that there's a period in the season where he goes out for 10 to 12 games. I just really want to keep him. I really want to keep him. I think he's a massive asset. He's in the prime of his career right now. Literally a year ago, we were fielding inquiries from Tottenham Hotspur. I just think getting rid of Struijk, I don't know if it would be a big mistake, but I think that quality and rotation that you've got in the 4 centre-backs that we've got now, the quality and rotation that we've got in the 4 midfielders when Stat comes in is so unequivocally important during a Premier League season. And we've built, through the spine of the team, depth and quality with depth. Pascal goes, and then you get this guy in. I think it's a stinker. I think it's an absolute stinker. Now, if you're looking at someone like Diego Carlos and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, he's played for Aston Villa, he was at Seville. His injury record is one of the worst you'll ever see. Signed by Fenerbahce for around 10 million quid. I think he played 5 times, 181 minutes. Okay, Villa, his final season, he played 9 times. I think there's apparently interest as well from Sunderland and Burnley. 3 of the promoted clubs are looking at him. So if you're looking at getting rid of Pascal, and you're looking at bringing in Diego Carlos, who is no way as good as Pascal when it comes to vertical build-up from the back, distribution, nowhere near good enough. I think he's your sort of meat dinner sort of replacement. Do you know what I mean? Big header of the ball, good in a low block. So he'd fit that. Big meaty defender, tank. But so he'd fit, I guess, the thing that I've been waffling on about all window when it comes to that low block, but it's his availability and dependability. And once again, like I've just said with Pascal, the durability. Is he good enough? I don't think he is. So if you get Bornau in, you get Carlos in, and they're just used as rotation, that's fine. But I think Pascal would be all right with being used as rotation as well. I think his personality-wise, his mentality, I don't think he'd be upset by that. I think he seems like a really grounded lad who loves Leeds and would fight for the shirt, but not only that, but would understand if Jacobiel's come in and will get ahead of him. You would then look at potentially a fight between 3 centre-backs for one of the spots. And I like that. I think that's competitiveness. What I'd hate Leeds to do is to go from Biol and Rodon to an obvious decrease in Bornau and Carlos. So when they come in, you go, oh, do you know what I mean? Like Byram or like a Harrison, you see the drop off and you go, oh, not sure about that. Not sure about that because that might happen. It might happen. Beal might pick up an injury. Rodon might pick up an injury. And there's actually a conversation right now, by the way, of who starts with Struijk and Rodon because Struijk is a brilliant defender. Rodon is a brilliant defender, but both have different attributes of which I think they excel at. So you look at Struijk as well in the back 3, it works. Carlos, I think you might need to put him in a back three because he might need cover if he's playing as well. He's just knackered for me. He's absolutely knackered. So, look, he's remarkable in terms of stature, presence, aura, if you will. That's what the kids say in it. He's a big, big boy, and he's competitive. He's aggressive. But to get rid of centre back who's like 7 years younger, and then to bring in Diego Carlos, who's filled with injuries, I'm just not sure that that is something that I'd like in terms of a drop off in standard and caliber. But what I would say is Pascal, I think, is the most vulnerable right now when it comes to PSR and when it comes to a sale. And I think you saw the starting centre backs, what Farker's thinking about. I think so anyway, in Rodon and Beal. I'd like us to go to a back three. I'd like them all to start. Bornau's cover. I think that works as well. I think you get the best out of Goodmanson and Bogle in the three at the back as well. They push up, they play as wing backs. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? And I guess Abdul Rahman, that answers your question, mate. That answers your question. Morning, Connor. Smash a like for the best show on YouTube. Thank you, my mate. Would really appreciate that if you all did that. We've got 1,800 of you in the building this morning as well. I've wondered since the weekend if one of the reasons he wants to give Harrison a chance is because they plan on selling Nonto or Rama when another one comes in. Potentially, mate. Potentially. Pascal is a good passer from the back, reliable and good versus aerial duels. 25 million quid. This is the problem. This is the problem. It's if a team comes in, and we've seen interest in Pascal before. I think personally he'd be unbelievable at the Serie A level. I think he'd be outstanding out there. But we know how his attributes fit into the Premier League. And by the way, we've also mentioned previously about William Gnonto and football not being linear. And Bamford's mentioned football not being linear as well. If you've not been great in the Championship, that doesn't mean you can't be great in the Premier League, which we've seen with Gnonto, by the way, because he was our outstanding player in the Premier League at 18, 19. I think that fits a few players as well at Premier League level. I think Ramazani, I think it would have worked with him at Championship level. I think it will work with him at Premier League level, but it's just that exposure now. And as his development got to a stage in which I think last season, if Ramazani had played more, you'd have seen Ramazani at another level. I think he's still at that level, but I still think that level works in the Premier League. Ethan Ampadu, I think, again, he's another player. Football's not linear. I think at the Championship, some people may have said, I'm not sure, but I think even you saw against Man United at the weekend, when you've got two number 10s in Cunha and Bruno Fernandes, of which he's going to be starting in the Premier League, they don't just drop off because it's a friendly. They're still playing competitive football. A lot of tackles going in at the weekend, a lot of quality at the weekend, I thought, in certain bits, especially when it comes to Cunha. I thought when Ethan Ampadu got into the game, he was very, very good with Tanaka. Look, we don't need to even talk about Tanaka, do we? Flipping heck, how good he was again. But I think when you look at Pascal in the Premier League, I liked him in the Premier League. I think the surroundings, I think Leeds' team right now is miles better than what it was in the Premier League last time out. Miles better. The problem is now you've just got the Premier League that's gone on to a different level because of the teams that have come up previously. Aside from Luton, really, who just haven't given a good fist of it. So, yeah, I think there's context to be applied with it all. I think Pascal will be a very decent Premier League defender. Diego Carlos, I just don't know. Remember what was said. Remember what was said about Bamford's fitness over the last few seasons. So Farker would touch Diego with a barge pole. Yeah, 100%. He would be good, but never fit this lad. Struijk won't start. Just depends if we can get a monster fee for him. It is if it's that 25 million plus quid, then I don't know if Leeds can reject that. For PSR, we can keep players until January window as PSR is transactions over here. That is good point, Andrew. But what I would say about that is you're not going to get the value for players in January as you would do in the summer months, and that's what they'll be thinking. And there's no way that happens for me. Capology also lists Harrison at 90k a week. Yeah, but there's some other sites that I've looked at, mate. We did one on the stream yesterday where I don't know if it's this one actually. Is it this one? No, it's not that one. But there's a couple of images where we were looking at his. I think it's hold on. Let's have a look. There's a really good one as well. Salary. It's called. Have a look at Salary Sport, which seems very official. So Salary Sport is claiming that 2021 Jack signed for Leeds and he was on 60 grand a week, then 60 a week. And then it's gone to 40 and 40 the last 2 years, which I think makes a little bit more sense, to be honest with you. Melee and JB, yeah. Melee and JB is another couple who'll be moving on as well. Yeah. We won the league with 100 points, scoring 95 goals. We absolutely have strengthened well at the back. Add a keeper to that team. I see Verba's another one as well. I forgot about him. Verba, Joseph, and Jaffe definitely going, and Harrison. Yeah, I mean, look, if we can get the PSR back by doing that, if we can take the PSR off by doing that and literally just, you know, work our way around PSR structure by getting some of the unwanted bodies we have anyway for good value, that would be amazing. I just think to get money in, big money in this season, we're going to have to see one of them go, which is a shame. So yeah, guys, right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to waffle on for too much longer. There has been 1,800 of you in the building this morning. Shout out to every single one of you for tuning into the Room Mill every single day. Keep your notifications switched on, everybody. Listen, check out our sponsors as well. Shop GNO. If you just register, we're going to be doing so many giveaways on there. We've already got the competition. The competition will be announced, I think, tomorrow, if we can cross-reference and get that all well. Basically, there's 4 of you winning 4 lead shirts if you joined the watch long at the weekend. The watch long, we're going to be doing prizes most weeks if we can. It's been an absolute pleasure, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Let's wait and see what happens, and there might be another video today. But if you want to catch us tomorrow as well, we have the Room